Yes.
There needs to be a way to record us off air.
Just we're playing our air instruments, having a great time, just rocking out.
Welcome to 4 Exposure episode 3. I've already lost count.
I think this is our 4th one because
time flies when you're having fun on Saturday and Sunday mornings.
You betcha.
We're in the Sunday morning time slot due to shoot job things and life job things and things. But anyway, independent wrestling doesn't stop. We're here for Exposure, hanging out. Blair Pacheco, Pluggo. We're going to talk some independent wrestling from last week, get you ready for the next. Whatever. We got stuff on the docket today.
Yeah. And
we already got people in the house.
Yeah,
we got
look at that.
Sup, boys.
Yeah.
He said it with a lot of Z's. We got Zach saying, damn, so much handsome. You're handsome, Zach. I appreciate that. I don't feel very handsome this morning. It was a long one last night. The little one was sick. And then, hey, guys, from the Love Wrestling team, I'm assuming that's the boss man, making sure we don't do anything stupid.
We would never do such a thing.
Never.
We're very well behaved. We are by the books. We're A+ right now.
Speaking of by the books, fam, we just got monetized on YouTube, so super chats are highly encouraged to guarantee that you get your statement read on this very program. But if you bring up a comment about some awesome independent wrestling, I might just read it for free because that's the kind of guy that I am. I'm a man of the people, Blair.
You are a giver.
I'm a giver.
You like to give back.
Just give back to the fans, give away Spencer's money. I'm a giver.
You are awesome. You're going to get us canceled because we're going to go broke because of you.
Hey, he keeps letting me. Big indie news our way. IWS got hooked up with Fight TV. I was going to bring that up. Fight TV has slowly just started to stockpile a lot of promotions. We'll talk about that in a second. But Blair, how are you? First and foremost,
I'm good. I'm tired. I couldn't sleep, so at 6 a.m. I was awake and I went for a run. And then I came home and I ate cold pizza, so it's great, balancing out the two.
That's what I am doing right after this. There's cold Little Caesars pizza upstairs waiting for me.
It's like run 5 kilometers, then crush some Pizza Hut because I am a child.
Pizza Hut. What's the go-to pizza?
Last night I ordered breadsticks with cheese and a large pepperoni lover because I have no shame whatsoever.
Man, no judgment here.
No,
I ordered the large old world pepperoni and breadsticks too. Blair, get out of my head, man.
We are just in sync.
In sync here. We're best friends, man.
Yeah. So,
Fight is. I don't know what's going on there. I don't have the ins and the outs of how that works, but they just picked up MLW, which is cool. IWS, a few others that I'm probably forgetting the names, but good for Fight making that. It's now $7.99. I think I might have to check it, but I still pay $4.99 a month for Fight Plus, which is a steal in my eyes. Because you get the GCWs, you get, who you don't get, and we do this every week. We don't get NWA on the Fight Plus unless you pay an extra $5, which I think is outrageous. But anyway,
hey, speaking of NWA, I saw NWA member Chris Masters at an indie show on Friday night. So, yeah, the masterpiece.
In person. Was he wrestling or just hanging out?
He was wrestling.
Oh,
yeah, he did a tag match there. It was, a very fan-friendly indie show, and it did a great job. It was a lot of fun, and it was a good time. Yeah, I spent $25 on a lot worse. So,
hey, nothing wrong with that. No. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I can't wait to see more IWS. Like I got introduced to the whole IWS thing when they invaded GCW. and they had the GCW versus IWS, and of course Zach and a bunch of the crew were there. So of course I'm tuning in to see my boys hopefully get, involved. They didn't. They were classy. They kept it classy. They stayed in the crowd. But hey.
Well, IWS, they piqued my interest last year because they brought in Jay White for a show, faced off with Zach Patterson. And they had a great match, and I got a chance to talk to Zach afterwards, and that's what really put IWS on my radar as a promotion that a must-see like promotion in Canada. So you start learning more and stuff, and then it's like, you see how much people are into it. So I'm excited for their opportunity on Fight.
And then you start talking to Zach, which Lynn loved wrestling, piqued your interest, and then you became friends.
And then here I am.
Boom, loving it. But before we talk about all the wrestling that we had on the docket, the Black Label Pro show that I went to, I can't wait to chat about that. GCW from last weekend, a little bit of stuff from this weekend. We got to pay some bills, Blair. Do you have the graphic queued up?
I'm going to cue it up if you're ready.
Our podcast today is brought to you by our new friends at Bedstamp. Are you ready? Today's podcast is brought to you by Bedstamp, which is helping thousands of people win at sports betting for free. The same way travelers use Google Flights or Expedia for the best prices, bettors can now use Bedstamp to do the same. When you place a bet, the odds are given by the sportsbooks to determine how much you could possibly win. Even when betting on the same outcome, different sportsbooks will offer you various payouts, and the differences can be huge. Blair, you're going to have to click that again because I am running out of breath here.
Okay.
So be ready.
Yep.
Thankfully, BetStamp allows you one easy line shop for the most profitable odds across all sports, which you can click on any matchup and instantly see the differencing odds of the games, player props, even futures bets. On average, our BetStamp users win an extra $1,000 yearly just by line shopping. You can find the BetStamp app on Apple iOS or Google Play Store through your browser at betstampapp.com. To access these, sign up using the promo code LOVEWRESTLING in your checkout. Let them know that we sent you to get started today and get on your betting path to success.
That was a great job. Like, you came up clutch there. I cannot say enough great things.
Check it out. Check it out, friends. But yes, BetStamp has been very, very good to me. I personally use it, and I am not a gambler by any stretch of the imagination, but they've made it incredibly user-friendly to use. So go tell me. It's free. So tell them that we sent you. Do it. Do it now.
I mean, it was a lot, but there was a big week in wrestling, like especially on the independents. Because I mean, you mentioned your first introduction to IWS was the GCW show, and I mean, we crammed in as much GCW watching as we possibly could this past week.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm just gonna do it now. I don't think we've ever done this in the history of the short history of this show. But the independent wrestler of the week for me is Rina Yamashita. God, Yamashita. I'm sorry, Rina Yamashita. My God, she lost in the match against Masha, but she wrestled 4 death matches in the span of 24 hours.
Yeah,
I don't care the outcomes. For me, winner, hands down.
After seeing that match with Masha, like following the night before and all the death matches she was a part of, and then you see that just structure that they wrestled around, and that was something else. I mean, we'll get to the match, but the bump she took to like cap it off there, off the platform through the tables, and I'm just like, what the hell? What's going on here? How? Just jaw dropped.
So I'm just making an executive decision. She's your independent wrestler of the week. My
That's
goodness.
fair.
But yeah, so it started. We can start with GCW.
Let's do GCW.
We could talk Black Label Pro afterwards, of course. But yeah, so it starts off the big weekends, the Tournament of Survival.
Yep.
And believe it or not, so like the Tournament of Survival kind of overshadowed the whole Cage of Survival. That was the next night, which was also a fantastic show. But I think everybody was, so it's a deathmatch tournament. We talked about it last week. There was 4 pods, triple threat matches that turned into, a one-on-one contest. The winner gets to face Masha for the GCW championship the next night. Dude, So if we start with the first death match, I don't know if anybody saw it. Maybe if Zach is still he's a big Green Phantom guy, and so is Lawrence. So we had the Green Phantom versus my guy Cyclope, and then Extremo. What happened? Was that weird to you?
Yeah, because Extremo just disappeared, right?
He like headshots Green Phantom with a chair and then just left.
Yeah,
the announcers were like, maybe he's going back to get a weapon, and then he just didn't come back. Was he hurt? Was he pissed off about a spot? Like, it just never got explained. And I searched on the internet, and maybe I should just reach out to the Green Phantom myself, be like, hey, what happened there?
What happened, brother?
Bro, tell me. Like, give me the scoop. I just need to know, because I was like, that was such a weird way. And then Cyclope ultimately gets the win, but I don't know if that was meant to be, or because it was just a weird vibe there. He just bailed.
You have to think that was the plan going in, but I mean, it was. I wasn't expecting it, because all of a sudden he just disappears. The announcers make mention of it, and then it turns into a singles match. I'm like, okay. I was just happy that Green Phantom was in that match, because he's great to watch. I mean, like, for how tall he is, he moves around incredible. Like, he's very limber. He's not as like bulky or like some of the giants around. So I mean, I was very into him.
And Zach saying that the Phantom's super approachable, absolute dude. Yeah, no, so he seems like a great guy. And I like seeing him. He's one of those that I discovered through the IWS stuff, and then it's really cool to see him getting like other GCW spots that aren't tied into that. So that's very cool. That was fine. I mean, again, it kind of ended weird. And then you had, what was the next? There's the next pod was you had I don't want to butcher their names. It was the Japanese guys and Janela.
Yes.
Do you have them written down somewhere?
I can get it for you, but I would also butcher them. So
okay, so I'll have to pull it up, because they actually were.
I'll find it for you.
If you find it, I'll pay it. So I was gonna say they became very important on Sunday night to set up that GCW versus Japan is happening.
Yes.
In the middle of July, I believe. So in a couple, or next week, actually.
Isn't it? Week. No, I thought it was the 18th and 19th of July, isn't it? Or is it June?
June or July. We're not good at this. You should have been prepared. Anyway.
Okay.
While you look that up, I'll talk about. So that we had Sawyer Wreck, Rina Yamashita, and Casey Kirk, which just was a fun death match, is how I described that pod. As we look up the names of the guys that Janela faced.
So Janela faced off with Toru Segura.
There it is.
Tomoya Harada.
You nailed it. That's exactly what their names are. That was nasty. That death match was gross.
Yeah.
Those guys were insane. I thought Janela was going to win, but it turned out to be Segura, which I thought was an interesting choice.
Because when we talked last week, I kind of mentioned how, like, I'm not super into deathmatch wrestling. Like I'll watch it, but it's not like, I'm not watching every week. So like, this is the first time I sat down and watched, and I'm like, you're watching, and all of a sudden, they're going through panes of glass, getting curb stomped onto light tubes, and I'm just kind of nodding along like, yep. And it's like, how there are not more serious injuries doing this. Like, it's a testament to them.
Professionals, man.
Professionals. Yeah, they do a great job. It's amazing watching it sometimes.
I said kind of the similar way. I appreciate deathmatch wrestling. Yeah. I have a fascination for it, in the sense of, like, I have so many questions. Like, I need to find a deathmatch wrestler and do an interview with them, because I just want to pick their brain for like a half an hour about just like, hey, like I cut my finger on a piece of paper and I thought I was going to die. Mm-hmm. You took a weed whacker to the face.
Yes.
Explain. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this was one, like Joey Janela. I had him pegged to win it. I thought it would have made sense, but they gave it to Segura, which, okay, cool. Like, this one was maybe, it might have been the best of the 4 opening round matchups, in my opinion, just because it was the most, like, they had quit in them. Like, so whatever. No, he won. We move on. Like I just said, Sawyer Wreck, Yamashita, and Casey Kirk just was fun. They look like they were just having fun.
That one stood out to me. That was one of my favorite opening round ones, just because like you see all three of them in the ring, and it's like they're doing the match, but like they all have smiles on their face while they're doing it. So I'm like, I'm into this, you know. Why
like, well, we're gonna take these gusset plates and just stab ourselves in the face, and we're all gonna laugh about it. And it was cool. It was fun. Like, I'm a big Sawyer Wreck fan. So definitely was pulling for her. Casey Kirk is phenomenal in the deathmatch game, but Yamashita killed it as we talked earlier. Wrestler of the week, in my opinion. And
I'll
then
give you that one.
Then the fourth pod, John Wayne Murdoch gets it done. He had Matt Tremont, and I'm already blanking on
El Desperado.
El Desperado, yeah, and he had himself a weekend too. That guy, he faced Janela on Sunday in a death match and just bled everywhere. My goodness! But that's your four. You got Murdoch, Yamashita, Segura, and I'm having a tough time today remembering. I just talk about the people. I talk about, it was Ciclope, my dude.
Ciclope, yeah.
Ciclope. That's become my dude. That's become like the guy that I'm like, I just love what he does.
Well, because I was still watching last night, and I had made it through the opening round matches, and then I queued up like the 4-way match that I was not expecting, and it was like, you see how rabid the fans are for the death match, like death matches. Like they go nuts, like they're right in there. And I'm like, hell yeah, you know, like go nuts, enjoy yourselves. And then like you had who was it? Jack Cartwheel, Alec Price, Blake Christian, and Gringo Loco out there for a 4-way non-death match. And I'm like, oh, this might be rough.
Just put on a banger.
And they just put on like what can only be described as a Blair match, because I loved it. It had all flippy stuff that is my jam. And I'm like, it was I don't want to say breath of fresh air, but it was something completely different than the death match.
Well, they definitely needed to kind of like offset all of the deathmatch stuff, right? Like that was my only concern, was like when I was sitting there kind of watching it, I'm thinking like, all right, how are you going to break this up? Like, how are you going to give these people time after, you know, you take a weed whacker to the face to get cleaned up and go out and do it again? Because I haven't sat through an entire tournament of survival. This was my first one.
Yeah, it was mine too. So
my first one all the way through. Because like I said, I used to just pick my spots with those type of matches. But yeah, and then that was a fun little like, you know, cool down from the death match, and then the main event is Yamashita and Murdoch, and they just beat the absolute piss out of each other. The fact, and that's what I'm saying, like the fact that match happened, she goes off that scaffold, and I'm just like, poor Rena. And then she like dusts herself off and wrestles an absolute classic the next night against Masha. I'm like, what is going on here? These people are crazy, and I love it. And it was a night. It was exciting. I will be completely honest with you. I had no idea who any of the deathmatch Hall of Famers were, but congratulations to all of them. Like, I've never heard of Low Life Louie until this weekend, but
now you're a fan.
I didn't know there was a Deathmatch Hall of Fame. I got to be honest. I'm intrigued now. That's pretty cool.
You're going to plan the next family holiday around going to visit it?
Yeah, maybe. I take the kids. I don't want to give on any ideas on things to do to me, because that would be bad. But then we had we had Sunday. Anything stand out to you at the Cage of Survival?
You know what, Kay? I have a question for you, because I was watching this one. And out came Matt Cardona. And the fans hate Matt Cardona.
Yes, the GCW crowd hates him.
Now, I was going to propose a question to you. Who gets more heat, John Cena at the Hammerstone Ballroom for the ECW show, or Matt Cardona at a GCW show? But then I saw Blake Christian at the end, and the heat that he got. So I have to change it to who gets more heat at a show, John Cena at the Hammerstone show, or Blake Christian at a GCW show?
I think it's Cena only because that, and again, it could be bias because like when I was, it just felt like that ECW crowd would have killed John Cena if he walked out of there with that title. Like I would legit would have felt for his safety. But then again, like Blake Christian is the man. Okay. Like he is a incredibly talented wrestler. No questions asked. And the fact that he has figured out a way to go from the GCW guy, like everybody loved him, to now just absolute nuclear heat where he is just getting pelted with trash when he cashed in his brass ring. Now that match, okay, so if you set the stage, Masha is absolutely beloved by the GCW crowd because she is just phenomenal. Yamashita is the same. Everybody, all I saw on Twitter when she won Tournament of Survival was just absolute praise for Rena. Everybody loves her. So you got these two fan favorites. You got Rena going for the belt. Blake Christian has figured out a way to turn himself into an absolute nuclear heel. And this match was awesome. Again, we're not huge death match guys, but for a death match, it had everything. They had great spots. It had great action. All of it was fun. And everybody, I think, would have been happy with either Rena or Masha winning, but I think that crowd after the Tournament of Survival was fully in Rena's corner.
Yes.
Like they 100%. Wanted it. They wanted her to pull it off. She had shown her worth, so to speak, even though I don't think she needed to. But if you just use that as she had 3 straight matches last night, and then Blake comes out, cashes in, curb stomp or whatever he calls it on Masha twice, gets the pin, and I was just like, holy shit.
The way that
that place went nuts.
The way that it was set up, because I mean, all the cameramen, they have the goggles on, hoodies to protect themselves. So like if you haven't watched it, I mean, we've already talked about who won it. So I mean,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, you're watching and you see this camera shot, and all of a sudden the camera gets put on the mat. Next thing you know, you see a footstep in front of it, and it cuts to a different camera, and the guy does the curb stomp in there, takes off the goggles, takes off the hoodie and mask, and it's Blake Christian, and you're like, I love stuff like that. The sneaky cash in, like the long con. 100%.
I was surprised he took his shirt off, to be honest with you, because I was like, all you need to do is get a pin here, dude. You're gonna roll around that glass just for for fun. Yeah, that was nuts. Like, and good for him. Like, again, and I say it, and this is what I've grown to love about the GCW crowd. If they're supposed to hate somebody, they're going to hate them with a fiery passion. If they're supposed to love somebody, they play along. They don't pander. They play along with the show, which helps, right? And again, like, because Cardona and Steph DeLander came out and they got nuclear heat as well. People were just absolutely furious with them. Dude, Cardona tried to fight an old man.
Oh yeah,
wonderful. I hope that is me in like 40 years. I'm just at an indie show squaring up with like
the spots around it were great, because I mean, Cardona's chirping the old guy, like the old guy kind of takes a swing at him, and he's not going to hit him. And even if he did, it's a gust of wind going against him, nothing major. But like, so they build it up. Cardona like plays it up, trash talking afterwards. Later on, Brandon Kirk,
Brandon Kirk
takes him over there, holds him, and the old guy's just dishing out shots to him, and awesome. That's perfect. Just like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah. That got me going.
Yeah, no, I liked Sunday. I think Sunday's show had a little bit of everything. Other noteworthy stuff for me from the Cage of Survival was the Northeast West Express with Speedball and Jordan Oliver, Nick Wayne taking on Jimmy Lloyd, Alec Price, and Jack Cartwheel. Yeah. Fun match. We kind of had a Young Bucks tease there with the East Northwest Express, whatever you want to call them. But I think the noteworthy thing is they were after the fact, they put over Speedball, thanking him for being an awesome mentor. And then they grabbed the mic and said, we're out of teams to face. The East West Express, that is Jordan Oliver and Nick Wayne, saying we're out of teams to face. We need blah blah blah. We need some competition.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden music hits. I will say this, that a lot of the times in the independent scene, if a music hits, I don't know who it is until they come out. So I'm like, oh, who's this? And it's House of Glory's Amazing Red and Brandon Excel. I'm not too familiar with the House of Glory tag team. They were dripped up. They had plenty of belts. So looks like we're going to get that next week in New York.
Hey, I'm all in on Amazing
And they took the JCW tag titles with them too.
Oh.
I always love that. I love when heels steal belts. I'm a huge fan. I mark out for it.
Okay. We cannot pass through the Cage of Survival show without talking about Ninja Mac and Vikingo, because
I was going to let you have that one because I saw your tweets.
I was watching and I put down my phone and I was just fixated on the screen, and it was incredible. The flips that they did, the moves, I mean, even the botches looked incredible. And I have no words for it. Like Vikingo like slipped off the top rope and caught himself, but it's just like, no, it's fine. It's good. This is what I want to see in a match. Just let these two go out. It was like peak 97 WCW cruiserweight matches where you'd have like Jushin Liger facing off against like Blitzkrieg on a Nitro, and there's no rhyme or reason.
A random opener.
Yeah. That's what that match was, and I loved it. So
yes. Oh, I was gonna say, don't you love when you get a good match that you just like stop and you're like, hey, Hab guy, what's good? We're talking some independent wrestling. We're talking the GCW from last weekend, and it looks like they'll be in New York this weekend coming up. So we'll definitely talk about it further. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm excited to see that tag match. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm interested again. We'll just tie it all in a bow as we move on. I'm super interested to see Blake Christian as GCW championship. I wonder what kind of champion he's going to be, because we just had Masha, who will lay everything out on the line. She'll go balls to the wall, 110%. Yeah, Nick Gage before that, and we all know Nick Gage, right? You know, he's absolutely nuts. And then you had Cardona, who did. So I wonder if we're going to get kind of Cardona-esque with Blake, where he's not going to just be like, I'm not going to defend, a prize fighter type gimmick, where he's like, I defend it when I want. We'll see. I'm interested, which again, will not play with the GCW crowd, but that's what he wants. That's what Blake wants. Blake wants you to hate him.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm excited to see what he's got planned for it, so I'm good.
Anything else from GCW?
I don't know.
Oh, yes, Spencer saying he does in fact do know that he does know. Yes, Spencer loves saying karaoke in Vegas with Nick Gage. There's pictures out there proving it. And then, if I'm not mistaken, the story goes he went in for like a handshake or a hug, and Gage kind of was like, gave him a look. Spencer almost died.
Yeah, he almost took the pizza cutter to the forehead.
The pizza cutter to the forehead. We can't mess up that handsome. Before we move on to the next show, stay here today on this very YouTube channel at 1 p.m. Eastern for the brunch gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching Willow Nightingale versus Zoe Sager.
That'll be a fun match.
PW. That was a cool match. That was a lot of fun. And little birdie, aka Spencer, told me they're announcing another match for LPW 16. So you don't want to miss it.
I might stick around for the brunch gimmick, and might as well. I'm just going to leave my computer set up.
I'm on daddy duty today because the wife has to work because we got T-ball tomorrow. So I might not brunch it up today. Unfortunately, I miss brunching it up. But you guys do an awesome job. But I had to put that over while we went in for a handshake, took a pizza cut to the forehead. Yes, but like, what else can you say? Yeah, he did almost kill that. That we wouldn't be here right now if Nick. So thank you, Nick Gage, for sparing Spencer Love. We need him to keep this whole ship afloat. Thank you, Nick Gage. You are the man. Shout out to Nick Gage. So,
before we talk about your experience at Black Label Pro, we should talk about Wremix, because that is a big deal when it comes to streaming and independent wrestling.
Explain this to me. I did a little research, but it looks cool.
Well, I have the press release for it, so I'm just going to rattle that off so everyone knows. Wremix is going to be a streaming platform. It's going to have Defy on there. It's going to have Ultra, a couple other ones. So instead of Defy releasing their streams up on the website and you'd pay to watch it, it's going to be all in one central location. They're going to started off with the most recent one, the Kenta Nick Wayne from last week, which was fantastic. Kenta,
which was surprising that they gave it to. I love it, but it was weird seeing Nick Wayne without his belt at GCW.
So here's the press release. Okay, this is not me. This is the press release. So get ready to embark on an adrenaline-fueled journey into the heart of professional wrestling as Wremix launches with the highly anticipated world premiere of Defy Your Nightmare, Thursday, June 22nd, with Nick Wayne versus Kenta. It's powered by StreamStack, a new video platform dedicated to creating live and on-demand experience that cater to fans. Wremix is the world's first all-wrestling free ad-supported TV platform with top-tier action from around the pro wrestling landscape. They're going to have, like I said, Defy, Ultra. Wremix will showcase more than 500 hours of wrestling content, so you will not run out of stuff by going on there. It's gonna, you go to remix.tv. You can sign up there. They will notify you when it's all good to go, and I think they might have early access too. So go check it out. I think it's going to be something very beneficial. Yeah.
More wrestling is better for everyone, and more streaming services to put more independent wrestling on. Big Bad Boris, good morning to you. Shout out to Big Bad Boris, the voice of LPW. He stopped by Beards on Thursday night and gave me me and JPJ a CFL lesson, as well as we tried to once again to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit.
I don't even know if the Bombers won on Friday, so because I was at that
the Bombers?
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Okay, so that's okay because he's a Calgary Stampeders fan.
The Bombers won. Stampeders lost.
I think the Saskatchewan Roughriders is a badass name, and then there's a Red Blacks, and then there's like the Lions. Detroit Lions got demoted. Is that what it is?
That they got relegated. It's like soccer in the Premier League, so. They got demoted. And Spencer is a Rough Riders fan too.
Yes, I guess Spencer and I agree on something. It's kind of weird. You'll see us at a Rough Riders game, just having a good old time.
Yeah, you guys are going to have the watermelons on your head like all the rest of the Rider fans.
Is that what they do? I'm so in. Oh, Stampeders lost. I'm sorry, Boris, but you're a winner in my heart, buddy. Also, Boris, go check out it on socials. He told an awesome story about him and the Iron Sheik. I posted it on B2 Beard's social page, so check that out. Speaking of social media pages, we have one now at 4 Exposure Pod, so go follow that. Go give it a like. That way we can centralize all of this stuff we talk about. You could just find it there, and you'll know when we'll be on, when we won't be on, things like that. Because sometimes we do Saturday mornings, sometimes we do Sunday mornings. Yeah, but you never know. We might do Friday nights after something. You never know. We never know. But the only way to find out is to follow us on social media.
Mm-hmm.
We're cool.
Shoot it a follow. Shoot it a follow.
Shoot it a follow. Tell your friends to follow it too.
We'll have all your indie wrestling needs up on there.
Okay. Oh yes. So
Black Label Pro.
Let's do it. Black Label Pro. I went last week, Fancy Wrestling too. I've never been to a Black Label Pro show, and I must say I had a fun time. It was a good time. Like I got there, the drive was about, I'd say almost a little under 2 hours, not with everything, because there was some construction, which I thought I was going to miss out. Because I'm not good with time zones. So it said the show started at 4 p.m. Central. So I'm sitting there like all day trying to figure out like, all right, so I leave right at like 3. If I leave at 3, then I get there at 3:30, which I thought was something. So I did that, worked out, got there in time. Wonderful place. It was in a gym, and it was in a nice gym. It was very nicely lit. I liked it a lot.
It was a fun card.
It was very fun. And I got a shout out to Speedball. He was absolutely generous with his time, and he was super nice. I got to meet him and talk to him before the show for few minutes. I didn't want to bother him too much, but it was super cool to get to meet Speedball Mike Bailey, talk to him. He was awesome. Talked to Billy Starks for a few minutes as well, friend of Beards. Mm-hmm. Good time. It was a very fun show. Speedball and Kevin Koo absolutely ruled.
Oh, those two are incredible.
I don't want to sound like I'm being biased here, but the match was just awesome. Those two went. I could have watched them fight forever. That was so much fun. Tankman beat the crap out of Jung Lee. That's always fun to see Calvin Tankman just run through somebody. so I definitely just trucked the dude. The dude had heart. Mm-hmm. Jung Lee had heart, but he got his ass kicked. by my boy Tankman. Cole Radrick and Billy Starks. I like Billy Starks with a little edge. She played the heel in this matchup, and it just worked. And I had so much fun watching that at the Black Label Pro Championship. She ultimately ended up losing. Cole's still your champion, but what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, I really enjoyed. I mean, we'll keep going, but the Bang Bros tag match, that was a lot of fun.
That was, and they were in a weird spot. Unfortunately, like it was, they were right after Bailey and Koo.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken. And it just, the crowd, don't get me wrong, the crowd stayed hyped for most of the night, but after that match, you're kind of like, kind of collected yourself, but they turned that crowd around. The Bang Bros title match. Mrs. Pluggo, hi. She's the first lady of my heart, first lady of my life. She makes her own creamer. She's currently packed to live on a farm and hang out with Blair's significant other, because I guess they will be best friends forever.
Oh, they will be, because I mean, there's all kinds of things that mine has made in the house, regularly making sprouts or deciding like, hey, I'm going to make focaccia bread at 9:00 at night. And you're like, okay, go for it. And then we have fresh focaccia bread. But
welcome to my life, friend.
Yeah. I do love focaccia bread, but it kind of throws you off sometimes.
The creamer is amazing. It wasn't bad. I tried the last batch she made. I don't know if she tweaked it, but I don't do a lot of creamer. I'm a drink my coffee black kind of guy. If I drink coffee, I don't really, but when I do, it's black. But yes, this Bang Bros matchup was fun. Like I said, it took a second for the crowd to kind of get back into the mix, but once they did, they turned them. Yeah. I like that. Davey Bang and Augustus Matthews, like super fun.
Yeah, they faced off with Miracle Generation. So that's the first time I'd seen either team, and both I thought they brought it. It was a very fun match. The other team that stood out to me were Twist and Flip, because that was the first time I'd seen them as well. And they were a lot of fun. It was a great choice for an opening match. They faced off with Latino's Most Wanted.
I got a lot of time for Twist and Flip. They are I don't want Darren, and I can't remember Darren Fly and the other guy's name. I'm blanking on his name, and it's Nate not because Nate Cobain. Thank you. Darren and Nate are guys that I saw. This is how new they are / how long I've been watching some independent wrestling. They used to just go to local shows in my area, and they would just help out with the ring crew so they could get training time in a ring, and then they would do some refereeing. Mm-hmm. So they were just referees, and then they've been trained by Isaiah Moore, who was supposed to be on the show, but he was injured. He's back healthy, though. He's back. Shout out to Isaiah. I'm excited for that, to see him back in the ring. But anyway, I got to see them. They were super fun. That was a really hot opener, really fun to get the crowd going. And I see big things in the future for Twist and Flip. I'd like to see them face the Bang Bros for those Black Label Pro titles.
Black Label Pro, Fancy Wrestling. And I think both of us were surprised as soon as we heard Fancy hit for theme music, and out walked one of the greatest wrestlers of our generation. I don't care what anybody says.
Your best friend.
My best friend, Tom Lawler, decked out with a tuxedo shirt, tuxedo trunks, a wig, walking out to, I think it's Iggy Azalea.
No. He did not come out in a wig. He came out in his real hair.
Sorry. In his real hair. Was it? And then is it Iggy Azalea who sings Fancy?
Iggy Azalea.
I'm so fancy.
Yeah. And I was like, who is this guy? And then it's Tom Lawler. And I don't know how much of the crowd they showed during that entrance, but there was this group of people, like a row and up over to the corner, that were just decked to the nines, that were just dancing, just having the time of their life when that song hit. So shout out to good old Tom Lawler.
He's fantastic. I was very happy to see that performance from him.
Yeah, I could have watched him and Eli Isom fight forever.
They, like, all comedic things aside, they had a great match together. Like, that was a lot of fun.
It was so much fun. Like, he would pull Isom's hair, and then like the ref would give him, a bunch of static, and he's like, I know the 4 count. And then like Isom like knocked the wig off, and the ref was like, you're not gonna call that. You're not gonna. He's like. Tom Lawler just has like the time of his life out in red. I think like you can't find a bad Tom Lawler match.
No.
And the guy he knows the moments and he has fun in the moments, and he came out decked to the nines.
He was fancy. Very
shout out to Tom Lawler, the GOAT.
Okay. I gotta bring this one up because it was my first time watching her wrestle, but Mayu Yamashita facing off with Rachel Armstrong. First time I'd seen Rachel Armstrong.
Same.
She's got something. She's gonna be good.
Yeah, she definitely, there's something there. I would love to, I'm going to have to dive in a little more and watch a few more of her matches to kind of just figure out what she's all about. But like, she held her own with, you know, Yamashita, and like the crowd was behind her for a good portion of this match. They were wanting her to pull out the win. I don't think that was going to happen based, you know, Yamashita's on the poster and all, but she was the big selling point of the night. But yeah, it was a fun match, those two. I've never really seen either one of them, so I got the chance to see them both, and they had a really fun match, and it was a great time. I'm surprised it didn't end up main eventing because we had Cole versus Billy main event, but I think it was the one right before. I think that was a good spot. I think everybody was hyped up for that, and that was another one of those, like, this crowd is going crazy for this match. I need to find out more about this Rachel Armstrong, so I'm gonna do that.
The way I look at it is like when you have someone like Mayu being brought in, I mean, you're not just going to throw her with anyone. So it's got to be someone that, you know, you see something in, there's promise, talent, whichever it may be, that you're going to have those two go in the ring together. So like you watch Rachel and what she has, it's like, okay, you know that she's talented. There's something there, and it was a very fun match between the two. Rachel was able to, you know, I don't say play the role, but like, they were able to, you know, kind of build off of each other in that, you know, like the spots were great. It was a lot of fun. So,
and they let her shine. They let her shine.
They gave her
I always find that interesting. And I've asked a few times and I get different answers every time, because it's, I guess it's based on the promotion and what they decide. But like when you bring in a talent, you know, who gets the spot against that talent that you brought in, that higher name talent? Like if you, like, we'll talk about him in a little bit, like the Rarefied Air Richard Holiday show. Like, how do you decide who gets to go against Holiday in that local promotion is always interesting. Some say it's just, that's who the wrestler wanted, or this wrestler's earned it, or because, you know, you see that all the time where you build one show around, like, I went to a local show last year where it was Heath Slater, and I was like, how did they decide who got to face Heath out of this local promotion? And they just said, oh, that's just how it worked out. And I'm like, oh, all right, that's just how it worked out. That's all you're gonna give me?
Yeah, this was the only guy who wasn't already booked, so he's facing off with Heath.
Come on, tell me the tea. Somebody jealous right now that they didn't get the spot? But no, that's cool. Like, they put Rachel in that spot. Give her some shine. And again, like we said, and we've said every week that we've been on the program, add her to the rotation. A new wrestler to check out more matches from.
You betcha.
But overall, shout out to Black Label Pro. Very nice time. Very cool.
Yeah.
Fun card. I had a blast. I definitely want to go again. So,
like, one day I hope to check out a Black Label Pro show. They always seem to do a great job. And I'm just going to punch up their Twitter to get the
July 22nd.
22nd? Okay.
It's their next one. In like Brulin, Illinois, I think it is. And it's
Berwyn, Illinois?
Berwyn, something like that. And it's like Unplugged. This is what they're calling it.
Yeah. So,
Sawyer Rec is going to be there. That's intriguing.
And it's the debut of Hayden Backlund.
Yeah, there's a couple debuts popping. Oh my God, we didn't even talk about Mance Warner and Steph DeLander at Black Label Pro. They're in a death match, middle of the death. First of all, Steph comes out, does her shtick where she's the death match queen. She's the most fanciest dressed person there. She did. She looked like $1 million. And then Mance comes out in Mancer gear, and she starts giving him shit, calling him like a hillbilly or something. She goes, I'm a redneck. And then she's like, you didn't even come dressed fancy. And then Mancer takes his jacket off, and he's just got a tie on.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you talking about, darling? You know, an old Mancer speak. And then middle death match, she takes a cheese grater to his face, and then he sets up a table and they have a beer together. He's like, honey, let's sit down, let's have a beer. And then he like gets all emotional and proposes to Steph DeLander with a Miller Lite saying, "I'll buy you a ring, baby. I'll buy you a ring." But right now, I think I found a woman that just can go toe to toe with old Mansour. And he's saying things like, "We're going to be the biggest thing since Triple H in China. We're gonna be bigger than you and Cardona could ever be." You know, he's just like, he's talking her up, and he like proposes with the spear, and she's like, and the crowd's like, "Say yes, say yes." I think I started that chant. I think I started the "say yes" chant. I was so excited. She says yes. They have their moment. He rolls her up for the pin. He gets out of there. It's like, God damn it, Mansour. What?
Like, they advertised it as like a death match, but it was very tame in that regard. Yes. So I mean, don't be afraid. You can watch it with the young ones around.
That's like because my youngest is into wrestling and he really likes the spectacle. But like when you see Steph DeLander and Mansour on a card, you're like, maybe that's not one he should go to, because like I just don't know what'll happen. But they kept it very tame, so it's good for the little. But Mansour, yes, on the list. Want to see a person. Hab guy, it was a fun time. I've never seen Mance Warner in person either, but he had the crowd eating out of the palm of his hand. He just was a lot of fun. And then the whole proposal thing took it over the top for me. I'm starting to come around on the Steph DeLander is Steph DeMancer. That's what I'm gonna start calling her. She is Steph DeMancer because she's married to Mance Warner now, in my eyes.
Yeah, that's the new like Bennifer. It's Steph DeMancer.
Steph DeMancer. I love it. Yeah, but no, she was very cool. I got to talk to her for a couple of minutes. She's very down to earth, very chill. I like what she's been doing. And yes, Spencer, we love us some Mance Warner. That was fun. So I almost forgot to talk about that. I couldn't get it.
Good.
That would have been a bad move on my part to not talk about that death match that turned into the moment. She used my picture too. I tweeted them a picture and said, "Use it for the photo album." It's him with the beer. I said, "Put this in the photo album." Because, you know, when you propose to your significant other, if you're smart, you like to have a camera person to capture that wonderful moment. I didn't do that with my proposal to Mrs. Pluggo. I just proposed to her. And I don't think she thought I was kidding.
Like, because we still have a few things to talk about, we don't have enough time for me to share the story of mine, but one day I will
on a future episode.
That's what we'll promote the episode as.
What else do we got to talk about today? Because that was Black Label Pro last weekend.
Well, Friday night, you know, I came home from the show and you sent me a text because you were talking about the West Coast Pro show. And dummy Blair thinking that the West Coast Pro show was on Saturday night, but it was Friday night. So I only caught very little of it.
Yeah, same. So weird, right? Like I was going to talk about that. So I started watching it. I didn't realize it was Friday either. I got about halfway through and I fell asleep. And then I woke up yesterday to try to watch. It's not on IWTV yet. They don't do it right away. So it's actually on there now.
Yes.
Because I looked this morning. So I will finish the rest of West Coast Pro. But the beginning, what did you like? What did you think?
Well, I had very limited time because it was like 20 after 8. I was getting ready, you know, preparing to record with you. And I'm like, I'll take a look, see if it's up there. And I saw it was up there. So I was like, I got time for one match. So I queued up Brian Keith and Kevin Knight.
Yes.
Holy hell. Brian Keith is absolutely fantastic. Like,
he's the man.
Every promotion should be booking him because he is incredible. So talented, very hard hitting, innovative moves, captivates the audience, incredible theme music too, because even Kevin Knight was dancing in the ring.
That's my favorite, when wrestlers dance to other wrestlers' themes. The best.
So like the exploder into the corner, phenomenal. Like just there was one spot, I'm not going to give away too much, but Kevin Knight went for a crossbody, jumps off the second rope to try to do a crossbody. But like you could see Keith is a little too far away. But what he does was he kneed him as he was coming down. You don't see that too often. So like the crowd pops big at it. So like for me, like I loved it. I watched a lot of wrestling this week. That's my favorite match of the week. Fantastic.
We got Hab guys say it seems times every time he goes to a C4 show, They have multiple wrestlers that I want to see. Yeah, that's what I love about wrestling. That's an entire episode on its own. Bebe hopping in saying, just popping in, Blair. He likes the no hat, shaved hair look. I'm partial because I'm in the same club. And then to have guys say Brian Keith and Stu Grayson was a banger at C4. I did not see that. I'll check that out. I love Brian Keith and I love Kevin Knight. And that match, like I said, that's about where I was. Like, that ruled. Mm-hmm. Kevin Knight is cool, a lot of fun. Brian Keith's hard hitting, so the styles kind of meshed. But Brian Keith, he can adapt to any style that you want to do. That guy can do it. So yeah, if you're listening, Spencer, book Brian Keith at LPW. Beat up on some rads for me. That would be awesome.
Maybe I'm gonna will Brian Keith against Sebastian Wolf into the universe because those two would have a banger.
Ooh, I like where your head's at. Your bald head is at.
Yeah. After I saw Brian Keith and Kevin Koo face off against each other, great match. I've talked about it before, and I got a chance to talk to Brian Keith because I said, hey, come up to Canada and this and that, and he had to get his passport in order, which he does because he just wrestled up here not too long ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was up here for something.
Yeah, but we were chatting, and like, the man knows his wrestling because he's very fluent, and Stampede was talking about it. So like,
nice.
The guy knows his stuff. He knows his Japanese wrestling. So book the guy. He's great.
Book the man. You won't be disappointed. The other standout for me was Tankman and Beef had themselves a nice big meaty men's slap at meat. It was weird that it went to a no contest, but that's okay. I have a lot of time for Calvin Tankman. I love Calvin Tankman. So admittedly, that show you and I will probably finish throughout the week. We might just drop our thoughts maybe on our social media. So we'll talk about it a little next week as well. I just noticed it this morning. H2O looks like they had a very cool card as well on IWTV. So I'll be checking that out this week as well. I missed it. I don't know how I missed it, Blair. I don't know how I missed it. You know why I missed it? Because we'll talk about it because we're running close on time and I want to talk about it, give him some time. Ophelia in the house. Glad to see she got to see Brian Keith versus Vaughn Vertigo on Thursday. Yeah, there was a top-notch wrestling show on Thursday. I saw some people tweeting about. That looked like a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Also good morning.
What was I going to say? Yeah, we'll talk about the West Coast Pro Show more throughout the week because there's a few matches on there that I'm looking forward to. I mean, Artemis Spencer and Kevin Blackwood.
That was fun. That was a good match. I watched that too. That was a good time.
And Nicole Matthews, Nicole Savoy. So I want to check both those out. Both, Matthews and Artemis.
Rachel Ellering, former LPW. She was on there too. She faced off. It was Ellering and
Vert Fixon.
Yes. It's player one. Vert Vixen.
I like Vert Vixen. She's good.
Yes. That was a fun time. That was a good time. Rachel, a lot of LPW people hanging out at West Coast Pro. You love to see it. Waiting
for the LPW West Coast Pro collab show.
I'm waiting for LPW to collab with everybody. That's going to be awesome. It's going to be a good time. But I last night watched, because we're going to do our thing for the last 10 minutes here, but I watched the PAPW show, Rarefied Air.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Holliday's return to wrestling in the ring. If I'm not mistaken, that was his return.
I think it was because
I kept looking. I'm thinking I knew he was coming back after he had his bout with cancer, which he won. But I kept looking. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is the date. This is the return to the ring. And I've got a lot of time, as Spencer Love likes to say, for Richard Holliday. I think he's fantastic. When he was in MLW with Hammerstone and MJF, and they did the Dynasty thing, that's where I started to find it, figure him out. And he's just a good wrestler. He's a good dude. I've talked to him a few times, and he's just a fantastic guy. And it's awesome to see him beat that and come back and wrestle. He took on a guy named Big Bacon, who I'm not super familiar with, who claimed to be the best wrestler in New England history. So I don't know if that's actually true.
I think it is.
Is that?
There's documentation. He is the best wrestler.
Well, that's what he said.
Oh,
he said there's documentation.
So he might. Okay,
I don't know. Do you know that for fact?
I do not. I was just playing.
that was his promo. He said there's documentation that proves I'm the best wrestler in New England history. So we'll see. But
I've got all the time for that.
I got all the time. You could tell Holiday was emotional at the beginning. The match took a few minutes to kind of, he had first match back, but It was awesome to see. I'm super happy for him. He gave a very heartfelt speech at the end as well.
Looking at his cage match, which isn't always 100%, it looks like his last match before this was almost a year ago.
Yeah, he had said 352 days ago he didn't realize that would have been his last match in wrestling. And then so this was his return 100%.
Yeah, June 23rd, I think it was. So, I mean, I'm glad to see him back. He's incredibly talented. Glad that he's healthy. I was a big fan of his MLW stuff when I was watching that. So, to see him back, I'm very happy, and I'm curious to see his indie run that's going to take place, because it looks like he's got some dates booked already. I mean, go shoot him a follow on social.
He's going to be at GCW, I believe, next week.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, I think he's going to be there. I saw him post something on socials. I'll have to double check it, but he's got a GCW date booked. He was on that trajectory where it's like, I was just waiting for a major company to sign him.
Yes.
I know that in interviews, he had always said like, he's not worried about that. He's worried about where he is, not where he's going to be. But you had to imagine that he was on the radar of some companies, and then this happens. So this will be, get his footing back, and we'll see how long it takes for him to just shoot right back up the independent scene and get, back into that spotlight. But it was good to see him back. The show overall was fine. I don't really have too much to say about it. The promotion he was wrestling for yesterday was very like character heavy.
Okay.
There was like a basketball player. There was like, the traditional like American guy, Saudi Arabia guy. There was like a snake hunter guy. Like, it was very character heavy. So I had a little bit of trouble like getting super duper into it, because it was over the top. Like, it was like early 90s, which is fine. But I've been so conditioned to not think about it. But it was a good show overall. There was nothing that stood out to me where I'd be like, oh, this was absolutely terrible. I just was super excited to see Richard Holiday wrestle, and I'm glad he's back.
This is a perfect segue, because up on the Love Wrestling Patreon, I think just released was an archived interview with Duke Drosies. So, I mean, maybe go and shoot the Patreon a little subscription, because there's some fantastic content up on there.
I'm on there. You can pay to see me. Also, I will say this for anybody that's thinking, if you subscribe to our Patreon, it's as low as $1 a month. You get exclusive access to Love Pro Wrestling interviews, archive stuff, early access. If you subscribe at the next tier, we might cut you a thank you video. I just cut one for one of our Patreon subscribers, Ryan from the Mark Order. He got himself a little gift from the Beards guys, even though he spends all his money telling me to apologize to the rats.
Look, if they subscribe to the next tier, I'll cut a thank you video with you.
Yeah.
If they want me, maybe they don't want me. So
Oh, they want you, Blair. We all want you, Blair.
They're like, oh, we want JPJ and Drew, and it's like, no, you're getting Blair.
So, is there anything on the docket for this Sunday in the independent wrestling world that we need to focus on?
This Sunday, I mean, I'm catching up on everything. I got to finish that West Coast Pro show. That's my main thing. I'm not too. I don't know what else is really going on, like, that's big. And like, this almost seemed like a quieter weekend when it came to shows, because there was no GCW, no Black Label, no Defy, nothing like that. But it was, I'm hoping that I can just kind of sit back and just take in some of the stuff. Let's see.
That is false information, Hab guy. You heard me apologize if you didn't see anybody paying for it. Then look again. Highly, heavily edited apology that I gave on Thursday night to those rads gentlemen. Rich King crashed this show. Speaking of independent wrestlers that need to be put in their place, Rich King. So what we got coming up next weekend is we're going to talk.
I stand corrected, because there is an H2O show again tonight.
There's two. Okay, so there was one last night. There's one tonight. So we'll probably check that out.
There's that. And there's also, I'm going to say it's an indie show because it's not a major promotion. In New Jersey, there's the Spark Joshi Ignite show, which you have like Billy Starks is on it, Maki Ito, Kylan King, Ashley D'Ambrose, Rina Yamashita is taking on Masha Slamovich there. And Mayu Yamashita versus Rachel Ellering. So, I mean, some good matches up on there.
That'll be fun. And then Billy Starks just wrestled Yamashita at St. Louis Anarchy this weekend too. So check that out. That was a fun match.
Yes, there we go.
She's on fire. I know he's not an independent guy per se, but he wrestles a lot in the independent scene. Real quick, before we plug our stuff and get out of here, shout out to Alex Shelley for becoming Impact World Champion, and Saban winning the X Division title. Maybe he'll option C that thing, and we'll get a Motor City's Machine Guns, who are heavy on the independent scene.
I got all the time in the world for Alex Shelley as Impact Champ. Just throwing that out there. I love Alex Shelley.
It was live streamed, but I don't know what you're talking about, Hab Guy. I'll have to go back and check it. And then we got Omar, our buddy in the house, saying, "What's up, guys? Wanted to show you some love. He's out of town. Hey, enjoy yourself, my friend." But I think on that note, we covered everything that we could possibly cover on the. Well, we probably could have covered more.
We covered a lot, though.
We covered a lot. We got Black Label Pro, GC Dub, Richard Holiday, Wrestle Ticks. What is it called? Wrestle Flick Picks?
Remix.
Wrestle Remix. Wrestle Ticks, Wrestle Remix, Wrestle. That's going to be, I'm going to have to sign up for that. It said it was free.
I think it's free to start, I'm sure. So
I'm sure there's going to be some in-app purchases. I'm sure just kind of like, Fight Plus or, independent wrestling TV, you pay the subscription fee, but on Fight, they have free stuff that you don't have to pay for. So maybe we'll see what happens. But, and then Omar said, yeah, he hopes you're doing well. Yeah, Blair, I hope you're okay, buddy.
I'm good.
Should have started with that.
Some sprains and aches, but I'm doing okay. My car's completely written off, so now I got to buy a new one, which sucks because
I hate buying a car.
I'm not in the position to buy one right now. Insurance will give me a good chunk back, but it's still, cars are expensive. So
and they got even worse now.
I got hit $23,000 worth of damage to my beautiful Kia Sorento. So that is no more. So
it's not funny. It's just weird. We were talking literally the night before and just chatting about the show and how we feel like we're building something cool here. And then boom, next morning I was like, oh shoot, that's how life, man. Enjoy life, because that's how quick, in a blink of an eye, something can happen, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're okay.
Expected, so no, thank you. And I'm glad I appreciate all the well wishes and, thoughts from everyone too. So thank you so much for that.
I would have had to do this show with like Rich King or something. I don't want to do that.
Just find a different bald guy.
I would never. But on that note, it's been our hour. We've got the brunch gimmick here at 1:00. So in a few hours, 2 hours from now, stay tuned to this channel for the brunch gimmick. The crew, Blair says he might stop by there. I don't know who's brunching today.
I don't know.
It's probably the usual suspects: Benny, Zach, you, Lawrence, all those cool cats and kittens, as Carol Baskin says. But they're watching Willow Nightingale versus Zoe Sager at LPW 11. I think it was 11. If Spencer's in the house, he'll tell me, but I think it was LPW 11. And it was right before Willow signed to AEW.
Mm-hmm.
So one of her last independent matches before the big signing, she's done a few cents, but it's cool. Zoe Sager is your current LPW Grand Champion, and Willow Nightingale is your New Japan Women's Champion. So
it was at LPW. Still looking.
11. Nope. 10, 9,
nope.
8. No. You don't even know.
I don't know. I don't know.
It was the yellow one.
I thought that was one of the earlier ones.
The yellow one.
That does not help me at all.
We're not doing a very good job here.
We will give you all of that information when we watch it on the brunch gimmick. If they keep me around for that, because
we are 1,000% fired now.
It was LPW 5 Anarchy in the YEG.
No way, that long ago? It felt like it was not too long ago. But hey, LPW 5 Anarchy in the YEG.
Yes,
the yellow one.
That does not help at all.
The yellow graphics, right?
Yeah. Pluggo, where can they find you up on social media?
Well, for now, you can find me at Pluggo _ on Twitter, at Pluggo Loves Wrestling on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm on TikTok as well. I don't use it as much, but yeah. And then you can find me at B2 Beards on all the social medias for my show I do on Thursday nights with the wonderful JPJ called Between Two Beards. And you can find me at 4Exposure Pod now. Check that out. Give us a like.
Yeah.
Get the conversation started. That's where you can find me. What about you?
You can find me Grainmaker Pod on Twitter. Same for all other social medias. So just search Grainmaker Wrestling Podcast. You'll find me up on there. This week's guest, I will be joined by James Roth, a Winnipeg wrestler. He actually did a training camp with Michael Richard Blaze years ago, had a great match with him earlier this year. So we had a good sit down interview. There won't be any video content for it because he actually came over and we just broke down and chatted wrestling. So it was fun. And then later on this month, we got Joe King, we got Thaddeus Archer. So
Nice.
the rest of June is pretty much set. So
Or is it this way?
I think it's that way. Yeah. So it's gonna be good. Already planning for July. So
very good, very cool. And then you'll have to watch WCW Sin with me.
Yeah, we'll set up a date for that and review it. So. This week, though, I promise you, I will get the show outro done correctly and not have us pop up at the end of the screen again. So
you're gonna do it? All right,
I'm gonna do it.
So far, we're over on that. But again, stay here for the brunch gimmick in a few hours with the boys. 2 hours. It's less than 2 hours now. But yes, stay right here. Make that happen. Follow Love Wrestling on all their social medias. Until next week, friends, we are out.